Okay. Hello there. I hope you're having a fantastic week and prepared for a wonderful weekend. Um, Life is good at Tanglewood. Very, very busy here. We've been busy. If you've been with me over the last weeks, you've heard me say this already. But we've been completely full here, which is great. We're seeing a lot of amazing things happening for people, and so I'm glad to be here. It's just been a super, super busy time. Um, but that's good. All's well. No worries there. And yeah. Um, so I don't. Uh-oh. Okay. I see. I'm having some connectivity issues here on Instagram. Hopefully, it comes back. But I'm with you here on YouTube. And if you've got, there we are. We're back. Sorry about that, folks. Um, as you can see, I'm not in my usual location. I am at Tanglewood. This is our volunteer office. There are 5 or 6 desks in here where our volunteers work on various different projects, online, etc. We're having some connectivity issues today, and we can't get a technician here until this evening. And so, in the meantime, the birds are singing always. Raw food cam. Um, yeah, it's crazy here. The number of birds, the amount of bird song. So, um, but because of that, our main internet system router is out here in this office, and so there was a workaround that allowed me to connect. I'm the only one that's online right now. Normally, we'd probably have quite a few people online, but it's only me, so I can do this and do my calls this morning until a technician's here. So you used to love that. What do you mean you used to love that? You don't love that anymore? I see. Because you're not in Hawaii, you don't get that all the time anymore. I understand. Green leafy gardens. Good to see you here. Floral custom designed. I'm glad you're here. Okay, Rosa del. Oh, what do we got here? That happened. There we go. Um, got a terrible sore throat this morning. Some on only spring water so far. Do you within one? That's the way to go. Okay, I'm not sure. I think there's a word or two missing there. I'm not sure what you're asking. I guess you're asking me, do I think that's what you should be doing, is drinking only water? Well, yeah, I mean, that is exactly what to do when you are when you're dealing with a sore throat or any symptom. I mean, this means your body is detoxifying, and that's the way to go. Yeah, that's what I would do. Plant-based queen. Yep, absolutely. Grew up in Hawaii. Not as many birds here in Idaho. No, I guess not. Not this time of year. The birds in Idaho are all trying to keep themselves warm. Uh, Hello, Paula. Good to see you. Can't wait to fast with you. Just over a week to go for the grand start. We're looking forward to seeing you here. Hoping to come down to Costa Rica sooner than later. I hope you can make it as well. It's spectacularly beautiful here. Hawaii is also gorgeous. I love Hawaii, but there's something really special about Costa Rica. And of course, we have an amazing, amazing place here. I came down with a cold 3 days ago. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. If I were you, I'd be fasting for probably a day or two, at least, maybe 3, 4 days. All right, Tessa Jane says, "What's your favorite state?" Well, that's a tough question. I mean, lots of states have lots of beautiful places, and I grew up in Maryland on the East Coast. It's hard. I mean, because I spent so many years there. It's where I grew up. I love that state too. There's a lot of beautiful places there. Um, Hawaii is gorgeous. I'm not a huge fan of Florida, but there is some beautiful places in Florida, and of course it's nice to be any place. I mean, Hawaii is the best in the U.S. in terms of food production, fruit production, but Florida, they're in South Florida, down south of Miami. You can grow quite a bit of tropical fruit as well. Um, Son got a cold yesterday. To my other son got a cold. How does this reconcile with terrain theory? Well, it's very simple. The question is, if terrain theory says there's no pathogen that's causing the problem, it's the condition of the terrain. So if her 2 sons are sick and now she's gotten sick, um, he or she, I guess it's a she, How does that reconcile with terrain theory? That looks like uh, the germ theory, right? That it's the pathogen that's creating the problem, but it's not. It's very simple. You are breathing the same air, you are in the same weather, you are probably eating a lot of the same food, you're in the same emotional system, the conditions there emotionally, the energy in the house, all those things affect us. Um, so it's there's much more that we have in common with these people than we think, right? It's I mean, again, if it were really the germ theory, so anyone who comes into contact with anywhere near your son would have, or you now, would get those germs because they're passing freely from one person to the next. And yet, that's not what happens. Only some people get sick. And this is the key. You have to understand, the germ theory says if you encounter the germ, you get sick. But everyone encounters the germ. Everyone should be getting sick, but that's not what happens. Okay, it depends on the state of your system. This is why, this is how I've now gone 35 years without a day sick. It's clearly not about pathogens. I encounter pathogens like everybody else all the time. In fact, I'm the guy because I know that this is so, and I want to demonstrate it to people. When I go to a family event, and there's always that one person who says, "Oh, don't come near me. I've got a cold or I've got a flu," and I'm the guy that goes over and says, "Give me a big fat kiss," because I'm not worried about anybody's germs. I'm completely clear that if my body is healthy, because it's about my terrain, when my body is healthy, no pathogen is going to affect me. It can't. Okay, that's what happens. Okay, so it's clearly not the pathogen. Yep, Hawaii is amazing for fruit. Here in Idaho, I still make it work. Yeah, I mean, you can do this anywhere. I've got clients in virtually every country you've ever heard of. I mean, there's some countries I don't really know, but we have clients in virtually every country in Europe, Eastern and Western Europe. We have clients. I mean, we've had people here from 145 of the 186 countries in the world, and most of the countries that aren't represented are small countries in Asia and countries in Africa. We've had clients from a few countries in Africa, but there's got to be 20, and we've probably seen clients from 5, something like that. We've had clients from almost every single country in Europe. Monte Carlo might be an exception. We've had clients from almost every country in Central and South America as well. There might be 1 or 2 that we've missed. Okay. But yeah, Asian markets, you can get jackfruit and durian. Of course, it's not the same as getting it fresh, but it's not bad. Whenever I travel to a city, I mean, even here, we can't get durian most of the time because there's not that much yet. Our own trees are a long way from production. It can take 10 years for production. Jeffrey Szymanski has asked me, what's my record for push-ups in one day? That would be about 1,000 push-ups in one day. And I don't do that more often because I don't have time to. Just the time it takes me to do that. I mean, that's a lot more time dedicated to exercise than I have time to do. Fortunately, jackfruit grows here. We can harvest jackfruit most of the year. We currently have probably 100 jackfruits on trees of different sizes. Some that are getting very close within a week or 2, and some that are probably still 2 or 3 months away from eating. Strawberry papayas are delicious. I like some of the other varieties just as much, if not more, but the strawberry papayas are very, very good. I work with sick children often and have never caught it. Exactly, Paula. Yeah, Paula's saying, again, because she's taking care of children, she is frequently has children who have colds or flus or whatever, and yet she's never gotten sick that way. It's not the germ. No thing real can be threatened. Okay. Bananas don't seem to ever ripen properly here. Right. Well, unfortunately, you're getting bananas that were picked before they were mature. Okay. So fruit goes through two basic stages. There's 2 phases before we eat something. First, it has to mature. And once it's mature, it has to ripen. But if it never matures, it will never ripen properly. Never. I mean, they can gas it, which is, of course, what happens. But it's still never going to ripen fully when it's picked way too early. And that's what's going on. And with most of the bananas that are shipped around the world, including to the U.S. and Idaho, they're unfortunately never going to ripen properly. It's crazy here. We pick our bananas. We don't let them ripen on the plant. Why not? Well, because bananas, first of all, bananas are climacteric fruits, which means they will ripen perfectly well. Once they're mature, they'll ripen perfectly well off of the plant. We don't need to let them ripen on the plant. As soon as they're mature, I mean, again, we don't want to pick anything before it's mature because then it's never going to ripen properly. But once it's mature, we can pick it and it will continue the ripening process off of the plant. That's what a climacteric fruit is. And so bananas, papayas, avocados are climacteric fruits. Peaches, many other things are climacteric fruits. Non-climacteric fruits have to ripen on the plant. Once they're picked, they never ripen. Okay, watermelons. Watermelons, I don't remember now. Strawberries, pineapples, oranges don't ripen after they're picked. Okay, so we don't let the bananas ripen on the plants or the papayas because the birds and bats and animals would eat them all. So we need to pick them first so we can get them. Otherwise, we're not going to wind up. How do you sign up for a stay? Guapo, you go to tanglewoodwellnesscenter.com. You complete the application, and usually I can respond within a couple days. Frankly, I've been so busy. I'm a little behind right now. If you're listening here and you're waiting to hear from me, I apologize. Okay. Longan, yes, we have a couple of varieties of longans. We have probably half a dozen members of that family, in fact. All right, let me scroll back up because I think I've missed some things here. Oliver is asking how old I am. Skytree Girl has correctly answered 60. I'll be 61 in just over a month, actually. And there goes my camera. Okay, I'm back. I didn't realize this desk was so light. I feel and function amazingly well. I'm very fit and strong. I've got tons of energy. I work 15, 16 hours a day with people from 5 a.m. usually until 9 or 10 o'clock p.m. I have an event that ends at 8 o'clock, and then I have a call at 8:15 every night with clients fasting with me remotely, 8:15 till 8:45, 9 o'clock. And then usually I still have work I need to do to catch up on emails, etc. So, yep, I do pretty well for an old guy. All right. Let's see here. Can fasting help with bad breath? Absolutely. Bad breath is caused by toxic body. Get the garbage out of your body, your breath is fine. I don't use toothpaste, mouthwash, soap, deodorant. My friends, the women I date, tell me I smell like fruit. There's no offensive odors. Obviously, if you eat something, if you eat onions or garlic, which I avoid like the plague, obviously your breath is not going to be very nice if you're eating something like that. But some people, doesn't matter what they eat, their breath is terrible. And when my clients are detoxing, their breath is often terrible. That's what happens as you're detoxing. Okay, it's important to understand that. All right. Boris says, I learned in case of absence of optimal food, what's better, cooked vegetables or frozen fruit? Well, that's a tough question. Probably frozen fruit, but I mean, honestly, I've never, ever been in that situation. I've been in 75 countries. I've never been in a situation where I couldn't get either lettuce, a salad or lettuce, or tomatoes, cucumbers, avocados, those kinds of fruits that we think of as vegetables, or some kind of sweet fruit. I mean, sometimes the choices are limited. I've been in countries where there was nothing except bananas, oranges, and apples that was fresh and organic, or sometimes not even that. But I've never been in a situation where I couldn't get any fresh fruit. And these people tell I remember some famous raw vegan saying, well, I started eating cooked food because I couldn't, in my own city, I couldn't find any raw fruit. I mean, that's a big city, by the way. That's nonsense. That's complete and utter nonsense. That's a lie. Um, so I'm not sure what to say, Boris, because I've never been in that situation. It's hard to imagine. Um, Paolo says, try with HIV. Try to inject HIV blood inside your body if you're so sure you ain't going positive after. I would do that. I'd gladly do that, except for one thing. I wouldn't want to pass anything on to somebody else, just in case it actually has any effect. Are we still looking for volunteers? We're definitely not looking for volunteers. If we have somebody amazing, especially someone who is going to be joining us in the community, where we may be willing to take volunteers. And we do take volunteers from time to time. But we have a volunteer house. It's full. So right now we're looking for space to put volunteers, and it costs me more to house and feed a volunteer than it does to hire an employee. So we're not looking for volunteers, but for someone who's amazing, we'd still be willing to take them from time to time. Give me just 1 second. You need to get your laptop? Okay, we're not online except for these two cables. So, all right. I hope that makes sense. Shravani, how you doing? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I can get fresh organic dates from California here, so we're eating a lot of those. Well, unfortunately, dates have a super high glycemic load. They're low in water content, the way they're sold. I mean, fresh ones. So dates are harvested in California in October, September, October. By now, they're already starting to dry out a little bit more. The glycemic load is probably around 40, which is exceptionally high because 20 is high. Anything 20 and above is considered high. So yeah, Paolo, I would be glad to be injected with almost anything. I mean, again, it doesn't make sense for me to take something that I might harm somebody else, pass something along. But I haven't been sick a day in 35 years, so I'm not too concerned about coming into pathogens. Doing very well. Great to see you too. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I got your last message. I don't think you responded to me, Shravani. So I'm not sure what you and boyfriend are planning on doing, but I hope to see you sometime soon. Raw Fruity Vibes, hey there. Good to see you. All right. Let me see what else I've missed here. What am I planning for my 61st birthday? I missed that, Jeffrey. I have no plans for my 61st birthday. My 61st birthday is May 2nd, and we close here on May 7th. And now the last week is usually a little bit quieter because most of our guests do 4, 5, 6 weeks or more. And so we'll have people finishing up in the week or two before that, which means we'll have, we have 1 and 2 week holes in the schedule and very few people who come for such short stays. So I'm going to be working from 5 a.m. until 9 or 10 p.m. Maybe I'll take the evening off after my call at 8:45. I won't plan anything that afternoon, and maybe I'll watch a movie or something, hang out with a friend or two. Maybe have dinner. I'll probably have dinner with my team. That doesn't always happen because we sometimes have slightly different schedules. My schedule's often dictated by the things I need to do, my appointments, etc. I understand that it might be difficult in Idaho to figure out exactly how to do that. Hello, Jen. Good to see you. You are a smart woman. If you love fruit, you're my kind of person. That's great. So we have a super chat here, $4.99. Let me scroll down and see. Yeah, crypto combustion is absolutely right. It all comes down to your fortress you've created in your immunity. If you're treating your body, you get your body clean and hydrated and then continue to meet its needs, you can't get anything. Been sick. Oh, hello there, crypto combustion from Texas. When babies start eating solids, do we also feed them 2 meals a day? Well, no, I mean, babies may need to eat more often than that, and that's perfectly fine. It's my 21st day fasting. I would like to fast to completion of the experience, but I don't know how long it will be. But currently 62 kilograms, 183 centimeters. Well, your weight is not necessarily an issue, but your lack of experience and knowledge is an issue. Of course, like every other person really knowledgeable about fasting, I'd never encourage anyone to fast more than a week. So, honestly, Emilio, if it were me, I would say stop and do a long fast with guidance only. I guarantee you'll get a lot more benefit and will stay much, much safer. Okay. Almost no one's ever going to maximize their benefit if they don't really know what they're doing. Yeah, I'm sure you can get great berries up there. I was scrolling down. I didn't do that. I'm going to go see. Here we go. Sky Sanctuary. Oh, that's a name I haven't seen before. You look in great shape, Loren, even after 2 decades on raw plants, if I'm correct. Actually, it's over 3 decades now on raw plants. I started eating a fruit-based diet. It was 30 years ago in November, at the end of November. It was the day after Thanksgiving, 30 years ago. And the question is, so how come some raw vegans are very skinny? Thank you. Well, I've got a group here now, and there's a woman who's a raw vegan teacher. There's, this is what she does. She's a coach and makes YouTube, Instagram videos, and so forth, and sells content. There's one, two, three, at least 4 other raw vegans here that are super, super skinny when they started their process. So why does that happen? Well, that happens because their bodies aren't working very well. They're typically not fully hydrated. They haven't cleaned out the garbage, which allows them to get hydrated. Until you clean out this giant sponge of old hard waste in the system, you're never going to get fully hydrated. Hey, Sherry, good to see you. Okay, and so that's what happens. These people have trouble putting on healthy weight. They can't build muscle mass. They're often not very strong. People are usually blown away by how strong I am. And I've mentioned this before, but it was a few years ago. I have a client who's been here many times, and he's usually comes in. He usually goes home, and he does pretty well with his diet, but he eats some things he shouldn't be eating too. And so his weight always goes back up after his fast. And he had arrived here. I think we were actually already a couple weeks into a fast, and he was about 195 pounds. And I noticed that, we use bioimpedance here to measure muscle mass, body fat, and hydration, water in the body, and calculate hydration from there. And I noticed that I'm 150 pounds. I've got more muscle at the time. I had more muscle mass than he had at 195 pounds. And that shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is. All right, what do you think about digestive enzymes like pyridine, if you're familiar with them? I'm not familiar with that at all. I don't pay any attention to products because I think they're garbage, frankly. And the problem with digestive enzymes, I mean, this is a really, really important issue to understand. A lot of people don't understand this. If you're taking digestive enzymes that your body should be producing, you're encouraging your body to not produce them. You're telling your body it doesn't need to do its work. And that's what happens. Okay, we wind up becoming dependent on these things. And the same thing is true with vitamin B12, which we should be getting from the bacteria, the gut biome, not butt biome, but the gut biome, right? The 10 trillion bacteria that live in the gut, 3 pounds, that produce all the B vitamins every day. If we're taking them, we're telling our body, oh, we don't have to worry about getting them this natural way. That's a problem. We don't want to be doing that. That's putting our body in a bad state. The same thing is true, with guys who take steroids, to build muscle. If you're using steroids, which your body should be producing, you are encouraging your body to not produce what it needs to. That's not a good situation. So coming back to Sky Sanctuary, first of all, thank you so much for the support. It was a €4.99 donation. I appreciate that. What you want to be clear about is that almost anybody, if we can get the body clean enough, it's going to work much better. We get it hydrated, it's going to work a lot better. And now people are able to build muscle, right? And some of you, some of you probably know Jeff Juice is a great guy. Jeff, on his way back here 2 weeks from tomorrow for his second fast with me. He fasted about 6 months ago, and he's coming back with me in 2 weeks to fast again. When he left here, I saw him maybe 6 weeks after he left here, and first thing he said was, "I still haven't gained a pound." He's I think almost 6 feet tall, and he weighed about 113 pounds, if I remember correctly. He was skinny when he got here. He lost weight fasting, of course, but he'd had a problem putting weight on before. And it took several months before he was able to gain any weight at all. Why? Because he was eliminating all this old toxic waste. So, first of all, he's eliminating weight with this waste faster than or as fast as he can build muscle mass. But also, it's hard for the body to build muscle mass when it's still toxic and dehydrated. Until you get this garbage out, it's not going to work very well. I heard from him about 2 weeks ago about his trip, and he said, "By the way, I've gained 30 pounds." He's working out every day. He was an athlete before. He hasn't been so athletic for years now, but he's, once again feeling amazingly well and rebuilding muscle mass, eating only fruit and salads, and I think drinking some juices and smoothies, which I don't really recommend doing, but that's what he's doing. All right, Trond Halverson. Hello there. Good to see you. Great to see you. Planning to do a Skype fast with you in August if you're available. I will be available. We close on August 20th here, and I've considered changing this, but up until now, for nearly 13 years now, I have never not had clients fasting with me remotely. Okay, I don't take breaks from that. When I'm on vacation, quote unquote, I only work from 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. some days, depending on where I am in the world. And, if I'm further west, my calls start a little bit later. And so I might sleep a little bit later, depending on where I am. Here, I wake up at 5 when the sun comes up, usually. Comes in my window, I'm up. But if I'm on vacation, it might be a little bit different. But I still work until 12 or 1 o'clock every day. That feels like a real break. I mean, if you can imagine, if you're normally working until 10, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, it's going to feel like a real break when you stop much earlier. I mean, I wind up with, it feels like a whole day to me when I get off work at 1 o'clock and can eat my first meal, sometime between 1 and 3, and have the rest of the day. So on my last break, I was in the Dominican Republic body surfing almost every day for nearly 3 weeks. There were a couple of days that were raining. I didn't really feel like going in the water when it's raining. It was a little bit chilly and rainy and gray and so forth. It was a good day to keep my shirt on and stay out, not get wet. But most days I'm that's what I'm doing. Suggestions on what to do for a hiatal hernia. Yeah, fasting works. Hiatal hernia, if you're not familiar with it, the hiatus is a ring around the top of the bottom of the esophagus, and a hiatal hernia is where the stomach comes up into the throat. And it's very uncomfortable and creates all kinds of distress and burping and so forth, digestive issues. It's very uncomfortable. We've had very, very high rates of success with people fasting for hiatal hernias. And so my recommendation would be to do at least 21 days. Longer is probably better. 26 days or more is better. That's Lou Corona's company. Oh, the enzyme company. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't care whose company it is. I mean, listen, I'm not intending to step on anyone's toes. I met Lou only once many years ago, and he seemed like a nice enough guy. But products are crap. Okay, every species on the planet is made to get its nutrient needs met from its natural diet. Our natural diet's fruit and leafy greens. Taking supplements is crap. I mean, yes, there may be time, if you've got low B12, you want to take B12 so you don't wind up with brain damage. Okay. And so you might want to take brain damage. You want to take B12 temporarily. Maybe I already have brain damage. You want to take B12 temporarily. Perhaps you might want to do that it's a Band-Aid. So you take it temporarily to get those levels up so you don't harm yourself any further. But then you have to address the underlying issue. Okay. You have to address the underlying issue. You can't be, you could continue to take a Band-Aid, but you're encouraging your body not to get what it needs. And it doesn't work very well that way. Okay. The same thing is true with enzymes. I mean, again, this is helping Lou, but it's not helping other people very much. And the same is true with all this stuff. Okay. There's none of these things that you want to do if you don't have to right now in this moment. And as soon as you're able to, you want to take it out. You want to get that crap out of your diet. Okay. I mean, again, I don't use any superfoods, none of those powders. There's these people pushing these powdered, what is it, barley grass juice powder. Okay, hang on a second, folks. Did I miss something? Because I don't think we're grass eaters. Okay, if we're not meant to eat grass, why would we ever need to consume a powdered juice made from grass? Grass isn't part of our diet. We should be able to get everything we need eating fruit and leafy greens. And guess what? We do get everything we need when our bodies are actually healthy. Okay, when their bodies are working properly. You know, it's funny, the people pushing this stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about Lou Corona. I don't know. Well, I haven't seen Lou in years, as I said, 20 years probably. But the guy pushing this barley grass juice powder, it looks terrible. Looks old. He's weak as can be. He's got no muscle mass. I mean, the guy looks as unhealthy as you could be. Why would anyone take advice from someone like this? Why would anyone pay attention? What someone? I mean, who cares what this guy thinks? Okay, he may be intelligent, but if he is, he's a crook. I mean, he's either stupid if he believes this stuff is necessary, or he's convincing people because he's obviously getting paid. He says he's not, but he's obviously getting, you know, if he doesn't get a commission on each sale, he's promoting the company, gets paid annually to promote the company. I guarantee that's what's happening, because nobody could believe that we need, if they're not an imbecile, that we need to drink take this powder made from juice grass and drink that. You can exclude that. No, we don't need that. Okay, we don't ever need grass in any form. All right, we've got a super chat here, and I apologize, Tony. I've been holding off on. I've been answering questions here. Tony Jansen, old friend, a brother from another mother, an amazing guy. He's fasted with me probably half a dozen times. Has brought his partner, his brother. I'm sure told everyone he knows. I mean, most people aren't interested because they don't believe, they don't want to change anything. They want to do what's easy. But Tony's an amazing guy. Tony, always welcome here. Tony says, hello, Loren. Thank you for all you've taught me. Applying your principles has allowed me to reach 82 on April 30th without meds. Thank you from the core of my being. Love, Tony. Tony, much love to you, buddy. I've taught many tens of thousands, if not 100,000 or more people over the last 30 years that I've been coaching and teaching. I mean, I've spent 25 years traveling and speaking. The last couple of years, not so much, but 25 years traveling and speaking, sharing this message as widely as I can. And a lot of people have got the message, but haven't actually applied the information. So thank you for your kind words. I'm so grateful that I'm able to share this and see the amazing things that happen for people like you. But the truth is, you deserve 100% of the credit for being willing to listen, open your mind, take in this new information, and actually do what you need to do. And this is 82, no medications. Hell, folks, most people at my age are taking 5 medications every day. At 82, most people are dead 3 years. Okay. And Tony is still fit and strong and active, having a good life, right? That's what's entirely possible. Okay. That's what can happen for anyone willing to do what they need to do. All right. So thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate that. Awesome. Happy for him. Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. All right. Lots more people. Wild Brazilian, hello there. Seasonal energy. Let's have energy all the time. That's a long season, 12 months a year. Will fasting help recurring bladder infections? Well, the thing to understand, this is S. Gail Smith. So the thing to understand, S. Gail, is that there's a reason that you're having recurring infections. And probably what's going on is there's something going on that's creating the infection. And then you do something which eliminates the symptoms. For instance, antibiotics kill the bacteria that are actually doing the work of helping your body heal. They're cleaning out the garbage. But we eliminate the bacteria through antibiotics, either natural or pharmaceutical grade. And what happens is we don't do anything about the underlying problem. And so the problem invariably comes back every single time, usually not so far down the road, a matter of months or more. Fasting allows your body to actually heal, to get rid of all the garbage, to finally get hydrated so you can take every aspect of your health to a much higher level. And then there should be no bladder infections. A healthy body doesn't get bladder infections. Okay. If you're getting bladder infections, you've got to understand this means your body is out of balance. There's something else that's wrong. It's not just a bladder infection, it's an imbalanced body. Dehydrated, toxic, whatever it is, there's something going on there. Absolutely 100% guaranteed that's what's happening. And if you can follow my simple guidance and you're willing to do what you need to do, there's about a 100% chance you can eliminate those bladder infections forever. Okay, that's what happens. What if soils are depleted of key nutrients? Right. Well, this is the argument that some of these people make. The soils are depleted. Well, that's why you buy high quality food, buy organic produce. Okay, grow as much as you can as you can yourself. Buy from local growers. Go to the farmers markets and buy the fresh food that was picked by people who grow their own food. That's the way to do it. Okay. Obviously, if you're buying your commercial produce at the grocery store, it's going to be crap. But why would you do that? Don't do that. Okay. Look, I've been living off this stuff for 30 years now. No problems. Okay. No supplements whatsoever. I'm eating, I mean, I don't need them. How come anyone else needs them? Okay. No one does if they get their body healthy enough. What about people with alopecia? Yeah, people with alopecia can fast. It's entirely possible to heal that as well. Have you heard of Somavedic? And if so, what do you think of the device? I don't have any idea what that is. Again, I don't really pay much attention to anything because I'm so busy guiding people through fast, consulting with people with, doing consultations, running Tanglewood, managing the business here, working on other projects, books, building projects, Las Cascadas, the Academy for Vibrant Living. I don't really have much time to look at products and don't, I mean, products are one thing depending on the type of product, like devices, you're talking about, like the supplement, all that kind of products, nutritional products, not interested. It's garbage. Okay. I have no interest in looking at them. None of them are going to be beneficial to you long term because all of them are interfering with your body's ability to do what it needs to do naturally. That's never a good idea. So these are things I'm never going to think are a good idea. I don't need to see them to tell you that. I already know that. Okay, Jadel says, I hear taking enzymes puts the life back in your food once it's cooked. No, it doesn't put the life back in your food. Nothing can do that. The problem is that when your food is cooked, you're destroying the enzymes in the food. So if you're taking digestive enzymes, now your body doesn't have to produce all those enzymes itself, but the food is still toxic. Cooking food creates toxic compounds. You put cooked food in your mouth, your body reacts as if it's been poisoned because it has. You're consuming toxic substances. You've also destroyed nutrients. You're not putting the life back in the food at all. This is dead toxic food once it's cooked. What you're doing is you're making it a little bit easier for your body to deal with the dead toxic food. But by doing that, at the same time, you're making it much harder for your body to continue doing what it needs to because you're telling it it doesn't need to do what it needs to do. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right. Never oppose nirvana. Hey, Shannon, good to see you. So Shannon is a client who fasted with me, I think about a year, maybe a little more than a year ago, and has just made a $99.99, $100 U.S. contribution. Thank you so much. That is so generous. I truly appreciate that. I mean, I look, folks, I fully understand you. We've got people here from all over the world, and for some people, there's a limit to what they're able to do. I mean, some people can't do anything. For some people, $5 is a lot of money. And I'm not asking anyone to do anything that's going to put them in a difficult position. If you're able to contribute and help me keep doing this, I appreciate that very much. If you're not, I'm going to keep doing it anyway as long as I can. But it's great when people are willing to step up and do what they're able to do. Thank you so much, Shannon. So Shannon says, I hope all's well with you, sir. I've always been convinced that fruit's the number one food that humans are attracted to in its natural state and not vegetables. Lettuce is not appealing naturally. So why do you think it should be humans' green of choice? Well, it's a fair question. I believe very simply that, first of all, I don't know what your experience has been if you're eating greens only because you think you should, or if you're not eating them at all. But what I find is if I go weeks without greens, and I've done that many times, I've gone as long as 3 or 4 weeks eating only fruit once or twice. and a week, many times, even after a week, my body wants greens. It wants those leafy greens. Good taste, and of course, it's interesting because we buy. Once again, I mean, we're not always able to do this. We haven't always been able to do this. In the U.S., we were 100% organic Tanglewood. When we moved to Central America nearly 17 years ago, it was almost impossible to find most of the food organic. It's gotten a lot easier, and we've been creating relationships with people, and still working on the economic issue because it is a lot more expensive. And after all these years of being here, we're used to putting that money into other things, and so are now shifting back to spending more money on food, on the organic produce. We're hoping that we will, by the end of this session, be organized enough to be 100% organic again, as we always have been. But we have maybe 10 or 12 local farms now. Most of them grow mostly vegetables. It's mostly things we're not interested in, but they have greens, cucumbers, tomatoes. We buy those from them. Some of them the lettuce is often so bitter, no one wants to eat it. But we have other lettuce that is delicious. I mean, we grow lettuce here that's pretty good, and I love it. No one needs to convince me to eat it. It tastes really good to me, and so it's a pleasure to eat that. So, and there are things that we need from these greens that we're not getting from vegetables, from fruits, excuse me. So, I don't think I've ever seen anyone who eats just fruits alone and is as healthy as they could be. I know some people who do it. I don't think they're anywhere close to being as healthy as they could be. The people I know who do it, again, haven't aged as well as they could have. They don't look that great for their age anymore. They still may be healthier than most people, but not nearly as healthy as I'd like to think they could be. All right. So I hope that answers your question. Bud Spencer is here from Mississauga, Ontario, watching the best show on earth. You're the best. Thank you so much, Bud. That's really, really generous. I appreciate that very much. Danny Weiss has said here, first of all, made a $20 contribution. Thank you, Danny. I appreciate that. And said, can fasting benefit a left hip bone on bone to avoid surgery? Create cartilage. Thanks. Yeah. So we have seen this on several occasions. And the first time, I had a woman who was referred to me by a big fan. He referred several people to us, and she was scheduled to have both of her hips replaced. She was bone on both sides, left and right. Folks, if you're not familiar, if you're not aware of it, it's said that being bone on bone, especially in the hip, it's one thing. Every joint there's different types of joints. So for instance, our finger joints are much simpler joints. You've got two bones that meet here and there's a joint in the middle, and they do that, right? But a hip is a ball and socket. You've got a socket and there's this ball, and that means there's potentially a lot of contact if it's bone on bone. It's said to be one of the most excruciating things that a human being can experience. And I had this client, she had no cartilage left whatsoever. They wanted to replace both her hips because they said it's impossible to regenerate the cartilage. Impossible. She fasted with me, and it's been a while now, and I haven't told the story for a while, so I think it was 30 days. It was either 26 or 30 days. By the time she was done, I mean, they didn't know how she could stand up, let alone walk. She was in terrible pain, but she was still walking, right? Excruciating pain all the time. By the time she was done fasting with me and refeeding with me, I should say, she had no pain whatsoever. She was walking with zero pain. Now, we didn't do any diagnostics to see whether, in fact, the cartilage had been regenerated or not, but I'm guessing it had. Of course, there's two things going on. One is cartilage, and one is synovial fluid. Synovial fluid is 99% water. Cartilage is about 97% water. Again, this stuff goes away because people are dehydrated. That's what happens. It appears, although medicine says it can't happen. I mean, we literally see things here every session. We see things happening that medicine says can't happen. Okay, can't happen. We see them all the time. So the fact that medicine says you can't regenerate cartilage, yeah, who cares? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything at all. Okay. So, Danny, I hope that answers your question. Again, if this were my situation, I would probably be fasting for at least 30 days to give my body as much time as possible. And again, it's you've got to do it properly. And I know, some people are going, "Oh, it's too expensive." What's more important than my health? I mean, I'm going to invest in my health when I need to. And even when I didn't have the funds, I mean, I was buying organic produce when I couldn't pay the mortgage. Okay. So, and for someone that really can't afford to get here, of course, you've got to travel here. Our rates are much more. I mean, Tanglewood's a beautiful place. We've got a lot of land. We do everything as naturally as possible. We have a big staff. It's expensive. Taxes are high here. It's an expensive place to run a business. Okay. And so it's our rates are, some people think our rates are high. Our rates, in fact, are lower than any other real fasting center. But for some people, it's still out of reach. I get that. But if you work with me online, our rates are much, much lower. Okay, they're much lower, and you can pay a deposit and then like 55%, and then make monthly payments on the balance over 10 to 12 months, I think. I don't remember the exact scheme, but something like that. It makes it a lot easier for most people to be able to do that, to make it through. Raw Food Camp says, yeah, I don't like supplements at all or any of the superfood stuff. Just been trying to enzymes after watching a presentation from Lou. But what you say makes a lot of sense. Sure, you're absolutely welcome. What do you think of the urine therapy folks? Frankly, I think they're insane. Insane. I mean, I think the problem is, first of all, most people want, and I realize I've got one more super chat here. It's Paula, old friend who I love, who will be back in 2 weeks. I'll be right back to your question, Paula. But I want to address this question because it's so important. Most people are looking for magic bullets. They want to find an easier way. They don't want to do what they need to do. They're hoping to find a shortcut. And that's what urine therapy offers. I mean, it's this crazy nonsense that drinking your own urine is good for you. Well, I mean, the facts are really simple. And scientists have understood how the kidneys work now for well over 100 years. If I'm not mistaken, closer to 200 than 100 years, but it's at least 100 years. They're completely clear about how the kidneys work. And urine has been shown to contain up to 3 or more hundred, I see my shirt's a little off here, up to 3 or more hundred different toxic chemicals, including household cleaning products, personal care products, all the toxins from these substances, Roundup, pesticides, herbicides, all the garbage that's in the environment winds up in the urine because everything's filtered out of the bloodstream. That's where it winds up, through the kidneys. Okay, that's how it works. Drinking your own urine makes no sense. But people feel better when they do this. Why? Because by making their body more toxic, they stop detoxifying. That's the way it works. Okay, you slow down the detoxification process, you're going to feel better. And you can slow it down by getting more toxic. That's why people drink alcohol when they have a hangover, right? They have a hangover, they drink some more alcohol, their body stops detoxing and they feel much better. Okay. It's not helping anyone. This is not a good idea. You're just making your body more toxic. Okay. I hope that makes perfect sense. I've got a lot more folks here on Instagram, and I apologize. I'm going to go back and answer Paula's super chat. I think, was there a question? Actually, I don't remember here. Okay. I think I missed Baby Kitten Advocate's comment somewhere. But anyway, let's see. So Paula's made a $20 contribution. Thank you, Paula. You know what? I'm sorry. Before I get there, because I don't want to forget. Oh, this is Paula as well. PT is a colonoscopy. Is a colonoscopy good to get to check why you have low hemoglobin? Is it good to get a colonoscopy to check why you have low hemoglobin? No. I mean, I don't think there's any need to do this. If someone's got low hemoglobin, what they need to do is give their body a chance to cleanse and heal, get hydrated, and then eat properly. And that's all you need to do. I mean, again, we don't treat symptoms, not if we want health. Treating symptoms doesn't work. So what we do instead is we get the body clean and hydrated, then we eat as well as possible. And that's going to give us our best results. Always going to be the best way. Okay. That's always the best that we can do. Colonoscopies, this is an invasive, potentially painful procedure where they're sticking this scope up your rectum and pushing it all the way up through your colon to the ileocecal valve as far as they can, to be able to see your 5 to 6 feet of large intestine. It does not go into the small intestine, by the way. And when you do an endoscopy, by the way, which goes down through the mouth, goes the other way, that only goes through the top of the small intestine, the first part of the small intestine. Okay, that's the duodenum, only through the duodenum. It's the first third, roughly, which means there's still about 15 feet, 14, 15 feet of small intestine that you're not seeing with any scope. So, yeah, I don't think that's the way to go. All right. You're very, very welcome, S. Gale Smith. I'm glad to answer your question. He says, ideally grow your own in nutrient-dense soil, and says organic produce is 30 to 80% enzyme deficient. Thank you for your insight. I appreciate it. I seriously, I mean, it sounds like he's making the numbers up. I have no idea where he's getting that from. We don't need to worry about that. I mean, if the food, how can the food be enzyme deficient? That sounds like nonsense. That sounds like something you'd say if you wanted to sell enzymes. Okay, if the food is alive, it's got enzymes. That's the way it works. Enzymes are specialized proteins that are catalysts. And if the food's anything that's alive has enzymes in it, because there's no life without enzymes. So I seriously doubt that that's accurate. All right, Margarita is here. Hello there. Just popped in to say hi and wish you a wonderful day. Thank you so much, Margarita. I hope you're doing well. How long do you need to recover from 21 days or 28 days water fast? Approximately, you probably feel very weak after 28 days with no food and resting all the time. Thanks, Loren. It depends on the person. It's different from person to person. But typically, for most people, now we have a group of people leaving here tomorrow. They did 21 days fasting. I think we've got 12 of them roughly who did their 21 days fasting, and will 7 days refeeding. Today's their 7th day. They leave tomorrow morning to head back to the airport. Almost all of them feel amazing right now. So usually by the time people finish their process with me, they usually feel great. Now, not always, because it varies from person to person, but in most cases, that's what happens. Okay, I'm sorry. Back to Paula. Paula made a $20 contribution. There's no question here, but she says here, Orville Douglas eats only fruits. He is very healthy, it seems. Okay, well, he might be, and it might seem that way, but we don't really know. I've fasted many people who are coaches and teachers and who tell the public that they've got an amazing level of health. But then they come here and they tell me and I don't talk about it without their permission. But I've got, as I mentioned, I've got people here now who are in this position. They've got big channels, etc., and yet they still have issues that they're dealing with that they're not telling people publicly. So I don't know what's going on with Orville Douglas. I hope he's healthy. Maybe he is. I don't know anything about him. I don't remember how old he is. I don't remember how long he's done this. I don't know if he's actually done enough fasting to truly be clean and healthy. If he's not, he's not even close to being where he could be. And he might feel good, but the question is his body actually functioning as well as it could? Until you get all the garbage out, as you know, Paula, that's not really possible. Okay. All right. Jared says, have a great weekend, Loren. Thank you for your help today. You're very, very welcome. Hello, David. Good to see you. You still have land in the community for others to purchase? Yes. I haven't really talked much about that. We do still have lots available. We are moving things along and hoping to be able to be building on the lots by the end of the year. By the way, for anybody interested, and I haven't mentioned this until now, I don't have a date, but sometime in the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be doing probably a 1 hour. It could be 90 minutes with questions perhaps, but it's probably going to be a 1 hour webinar on Las Cascadas. It will be completely free. It's just, to share information on what's going on and explain what we're doing and etc. And David, we would love to have you join us. I hope you're still planning on coming back sometime soon, but whether, to fast, whether that happens or not, we'd love to have you join us. Actually, I've got someone who just arrived last night. She's visiting. She's a client, and we're actually doing some work together, but she is also here to make her investment in the project. I had a conversation this morning with a gentleman who's going to be making his investment in the project, and I have at least 1 or 2 other people here now who are also interested in doing the same thing. So Orville, Mark says, is the only person I know that's fasted as much as you. Well, That may be true, Mark. I doubt that that's true. I mean, I've done a lot of fasting, but even if it is, the question is, has he done it properly? And most people who do it on their own don't do it properly and don't even know exactly what needs to happen. So again, I've never met Orville, never spoken to him. Um, I think he's ragged on me publicly more than once. And I think there might be some areas of disagreement. I mean, he may be a very nice guy. I have no idea. He may be very healthy and knowledgeable. I really don't know. I don't really follow anyone because I don't have time to. So I don't know what he's up to. All right. Before I go any further, we have a $35 contribution from Martha. Thank you so much. She says, enjoy your weekend, Loren. I certainly will. I appreciate that very much. I'm super, super happy to be able to be here. I mean, this is how I kick off my weekends, is being live with you guys. And it's always a lot of fun to do. And I'm noticing that it's 10 o'clock, which means I've now got 6 clients waiting for me on a group remote fasting call. So I'm going to have to get off of here. Too busy here to think of a question that comes up during the other days. Just thanks. You're very welcome. Jeffrey, I'm having a happier spring break here in Cancun. Enjoy. I hope it's a great time. John, hello there. Danny's back with another $20 contribution. Thank you so much. What do you think about stem cells to cure diseases? Well, stem cells are perfectly fine, but your body produces all it needs. And, again, I don't think we ever want to be manipulating the body. Here's the thing. I like to think I'm reasonably intelligent. There are many people who disagree. They think I'm a complete imbecile. And maybe they're right. Maybe the truth is somewhere in between what they think and what I think of myself. I don't know. But however intelligent I am, I promise you, my body is way more intelligent than I am. And so rather than getting involved to try to force the body, to take stem cells, to try to manipulate it into a particular outcome, I want to get out of its way and let it do what it needs to do. That's all that needs to happen. We just need to get out of the body's way. That's how we see the best results. And Mark says, I agree. He's talking about Orville again. He may not have rested while fasting. If he didn't rest completely while fasting, I guarantee you he didn't come close to getting the benefits that he needed to. Not even close. Okay? I guarantee you, if he, I never seen him rag on you nor anyone. I wouldn't let that get by without input. Okay, Paul, I appreciate that. I don't know. I may go back some years when I had more time to look at Facebook. I don't pay much attention. But anyway, I mean, anyone's fasting without resting, they have no idea what's actually possible, because it makes all the difference in the world. It really does. Makes all the difference in the world. Danny says, when fasting, my wife gets shortness of breath. Cause of shortness of breath? Well, there are various causes of shortness of breath, but one of them is not drinking enough water. Another one is having too much garbage in the bloodstream. As the body is breaking down plaque in the arteries, what happens is it has a harder time carrying the oxygen that we need to carry. And this is why it's so important to take and properly interpret daily vital signs. So we keep our people, the distilled water thing was the disagreement. I remember that. Well, if he thinks distilled water is optimal, then he's obviously not as smart as I am, because he's wrong about that, right? Of course, I believe that. I guess he believes differently. I mean, distilled water is garbage. It's processed from a machine. That's not natural. It doesn't exist in nature. There's no reason we should be drinking that. But anyway, Danny, I hope that helps. If you guys like to, I mean, what might make sense, and again, I appreciate your support here today. What you might want to do, if to figure out what's going on for both of you, whatever issues you may have and what your experience has been, you could schedule a 1-hour consultation with me, and we could talk about those issues. Of course, you're welcome to come every Friday and ask me questions here if that's easier for you, but it's up to you. We can spend an hour together just talking about what's going on for you. Of course, there's an investment there, but I think you'll find it's worth it. Most people do. Anyway, folks, I've got to go. I apologize. I'm already late for my call. Should I worry? No. I mean, if I were you, I would go ahead and just sip water. Spring water is perfectly fine. Plant-based queen. That's what I would do. Of course, as you already know, you know that I believe, you probably, if this is going on, you probably need a longer fast. You're probably going to need some help with that. So when you're ready to, is broccoli good for you? No. It's not that it's man-made. It's that it's loaded with cellulose. We can't digest it. And it contains anti-nutrients, as do all of the cruciferous vegetables, which are loaded with nutrients, but also contain things we shouldn't be taking in. Okay, so don't believe in that. I've got to go, folks. I hope that helps. Have a fantastic weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.